So I have a real treat for you guys today. Once again, travel has been sprung on me for what is technically work, so I have a little meme movie review for you today. Do you like badass martial arts or just ass bad martial arts? Nunchucks, swords, car crashes, siblings making out, Power Rangers. Oh wait, you wanted to go back to one of those previous points? Not yet. You just get to watch the disaster unfold. I've had this chilling on the back burner ever since one of my friends put it on my radar, but it is finally time to cover Kickboxing Academy. Never heard of it? Of course not. It periodically seems to be completely wiped from the internet. At one point, it even had a different title, Teen Boxer, which is just as inaccurate of a title because while the dojo that they train at is called Kickboxing Academy, what they are in fact doing is a terrible combination of like karate and taekwondo, but like neither of them. Do you see boxing gloves anywhere? No, you see gis and belts. But oh well, kickboxing rocks, I guess.
Yeah, kickboxing rocks.
But it is currently in one of the upswing cycles where it is available on Amazon Prime, but like only in the United States. Not for free, you'd have to rent it for those who want to, for some reason. Because this is one of the most outlandish and ridiculous movies I've ever seen, and I complain a lot about like tonal inconsistency on this channel, but this is like a very weird phenomenon where it is like tonally consistent throughout, but the intended age range for this movie seems to just vary at any given moment and it's all over the place. I would firmly say it's intended for 8-year-olds based on the acting, the soundtrack, and the subject matter, but it's rated PG-13 and there is a shocking amount of like relationship drama, blood, and language for something that's this stupid. It's less than an hour and a half long, but it is shockingly convoluted and it seems to be trying like really hard to seem like it has a well thought out minutia of the plan involved in the story, but it's dumb. But before we hop into the spectacle, I have to take a second to talk about today's returning sponsor, Likewise. If you want to discover more amazing movies like Kickboxing Academy, Likewise is the place to do it. Maybe you're stuck in that never-ending cycle of like scrolling through the streaming services, or you just want to watch something similar to what you already like. With Likewise, whether you're looking for movies, shows, books, or even podcasts, they'll use these subjects, themes, and specific titles you're interested in to recommend you new media with smart technology and real user recommendations. I may always have something to watch, but with so much content being released every single week, it is so easy to have something fly under the radar, and Likewise always seems to have my back. I also love that it recommends books because having to read the stuff I do for this channel, it can be really nice to have something good to look forward to. And the recommendations are accurate. I obviously can't list every piece of media I've consumed in my life, but anytime it recommends me something I've already seen or read, it is something that I like. Every day you get a personalized list of recommendations that you can swipe through, and if you find something you like, it's super easy to save it for later so you never have to keep track yourself, and it'll even let you know what streaming services it's available on. You can also make lists of things that you'd recommend for other users. So like right now, you can head over there and check out my list of horrors and thrillers that I made for Halloween. And if you're just craving more media, you can use the Ask feature to request recommendations from the community or contribute to other people's threads. So if you want some sweet media recommendations and help support this channel, head on over to on.likewise.com/Jedi4 or click the link in the description down below. It's 100% free and you can follow me there at Amanda the Jedi. So it's been a while since I've covered a classic meme movie, so I'm very excited to be here today. Because again, this features everyone's favorite hot button topic, incest, but not in the confines of the movie itself, but we'll get there. Directed by Richard Gabai, no idea if I pronounced that name right, Kickboxing Academy has a shockingly low score of 33% from audiences and no reviews from critics, but that 33% is actually like high in comparison to the rest of his catalog of film work. Really looking forward to being the first critic review on this movie. Fun fact, only one of the 21 movies he's credited as director has a positive audience score at 65%. And it's Moto X Kids, which features a chimpanzee, and only one has a critic score of 0. An impressive career for Mr. Gabai. Like, how does he keep getting work? Who is this man? I have no idea who he is, but I just got to assume some
little nepotiz.
Now, before we jump into the movie, there is something that I would like to address. So because this has had a couple different titles, it had a couple different posters and DVD covers. But the main one that seems to be in use right now is this one. And you're looking and you might think, okay, this kid must be like the main kid in the movie, right? Not quite. Not at all, actually. This kid isn't in the movie, like at all, unless he has some kind of like drive-by cameo in one of the classes and you miss him. I don't think so, though. I wish I was making that up, but it would literally be like if John Wick had one of the producer's nephews on the cover with a gun randomly. And it's extra weird because there is a kid in this movie that the movie actually starts with him reading like a Captain Kickboxing comic while talking about the Flying Dutchman, which I was pretty sure was a wrestler, but also a classic pirate ship, and a sex position and a poop tactic.
A Flying Dutchman kick to the neck. Ah!
We'll give them a pass, it was 1997. But yeah, I don't know why they wouldn't have just used this kid for the poster. Maybe he also was like, I don't want to be associated with this, but Kyler Lee's still on it. But either way, this kid is off to his first kickboxing lesson ever, getting dropped off by his car-obsessed brother, Brian. And the instructor is Master June, who then starts some serious sexual tension with this dude right in front of the kid.
Now about those private lessons. Fudge.
See what I mean? At this point, all signs point to this playing on YTV at 11 a.m. on a Sunday for a bunch of 8-year-olds. But then it immediately cuts to this party. No kickboxing or context whatsoever. And that brother is filming this party, and his girlfriend is apparently waiting for another dude when these gems wander up.
I'm gonna let you go home with me tonight. Me too.
If you look closely, you can actually see her panties fusing to her body to create a protective barrier. But what you probably definitely didn't notice is that the blonde is Kyler Lee, aka Grey's Anatomy Lexi Alex Danvers from Supergirl. And I feel like this is a movie that she definitely doesn't want people thinking about, knowing about, or acknowledging, and it's not because it's ass. Or it's not just because it's ass. But we'll get there. It hard cuts again to the two nerds from the party walking home and then getting beat up for no reason. They also keep calling this kid egregiously fat, and he's just, like, not.
Just like the Nature Channel. A beached whale!
Like, I can only imagine they write this in for the audience to laugh, but we're not supposed to want to laugh with the bad guys? Then this dude just flies in out of nowhere. I love that all the music and the fight sounds sound like they are coming out of some combination of a Super Nintendo fighter and turn-based RPG. Then it immediately cuts back to the credits and the title scene, as if all of that was some kind of logistical setup for the rest of the movie. Phew. Oh, sorry guys, just had to cut in the credits 5 minutes into the video here. Now, I have 2 copies of this movie. One is missing a bunch of scenes and then has Teen Boxer in the credits instead of Kickboxing Academy. And the one that I have that's the correct runtime says Kickboxing Academy, so I assume like one copy of this was maybe someone ripping like a television copy to a VHS back in the day. So then they missed a bunch of scenes. I actually have no idea. Either way, once that all finishes, it cuts to the rival fight school across the street, Fatal Combat. Wonder where they got that one from. And other than Mortal Kombat, if it wasn't already obvious, they are absolutely channeling the Karate Kid aesthetic from the Cobra Kai in like the worst possible ways. Like, dude even has a Cobra statue on his desk at one point. And he is all about the cheap shots, literally.
What next? Sucker punch. I told you, always take out their nuts. Pick a punch.
And he hates Kickboxing Academy, to the point that he sends 2 of his douches over to beat up kids for wanting to join. But these kids only want to join because those kids almost beat them up last night, until someone intervened.
A roundhouse, eh? Did you kick him in the nards?
He's very big on the nard shots. So they head over there to kick their asses for good this time. But it's been literally 2 seconds and they're just completely in their regular clothing now. Like, why wouldn't you just keep them in their, I want to say karate gear, but it's not really karate that they're doing, their gis. Like, why wouldn't you just keep them in their gis? But Master June is here to save the day with her super speed leg kicking action. She moves so fast, she just hit him with one of these. Yeah. Ooh, she got him in the nards. So they give up.
Très magnifique. Farfignugan.
Oh my god. So we get some more time with those girls from the party earlier, and it turns out that they too are students of the Kickboxing Academy. along with Carbro.
Racer X is picking me up.
Godspeed Racer rocks. He wishes he was as cool as Racer X. So Kyler Lee here is dating Brian, but might not be super into it. He's like super obsessed with cars, assumes that her only desire in life is to go to the car show with him. Seems genuinely confused when she then bails on the car show, even though she was like clearly hinting at it. And she also definitely has eyes for Danny Boy here, who you may recognize as the Red Ranger from Power Rangers in Space, and Kyler Lee may recognize him as her real-life brother. That's right, kids, this movie cast real-life siblings to be romantic interests. Truly a work of art. Cinema. We learned that Danny actually used to go to the academy, but now he just doesn't have time for it, and he was just doing it for the goofs. God, maybe it's because he fell in love with his real-life sister. We then get eyes on our resident delinquents, like a knockoff Jane Silent Bob here hanging out outside the academy, and can I just draw attention to this pervert shirt for a second? It's just art. Also, this dude stumbles after doing a bad karate move, and the pervert boy also just gets on the ground with him for no reason. It's like the way that guys imagine girls having pillow fights at sleepovers. Okay, wait, the wall of the Kickboxing Academy says this is a black belt school. What does that even mean? Aren't all martial arts schools that feature a martial art that have black belts black belt schools? Do they actually say that to say like, hey, we're certified to give you a black belt? I don't know, that seems like it's something to be on the brochure, not the wall. Anyways, we get more villains in the works. This old dude is apparently going to cut their lease after the summer because he has a controlling stake in the bank that owns the lease, so they won't renew it. And it's kind of her fault because she took out a loan against the academy. But then, for some reason, he gives her a chance to win back the lease, which once we get into the movie further, you'll understand even less because it makes less sense than it already does. But it would be her students versus Tarbek's, winner take all. Like, why would you offer that up? He says it's to like add humiliation to them, but like as the story progresses, like you'll see. And then spontaneously cuts to a scene that seems to exist specifically to have a variety of characters call this poor kid fat.
You fat dip. Hey, I know you. The beach whale.
Okay, so it's also to like set the stage for him wanting to quit the academy because this guy keeps like scaring him. But then it has to end off with,
Get me a double bacon cheese fatty. You fatty.
okay, places like this rock. I wish we had an all-in-one like bowling alley, pool, hard bar, and arcade. I should go bowling. But as Cindy and Melinda go to grab something from a car, they get jumped by the douche crew. And they hand their asses to them so badly that this one says, ow, my ass, twice.
Ow, my ass. Ow, my ass.
Like, did they just get 2 takes of the same shot? And he was all like, I like both of these, so I will use both of these. 2 mentions of ass and a series of bad sex jokes. This is firmly outside the realm of movies intended for 8-year-olds. She's really enjoying kicking his ass though, look at that smile. But then they pull out nunchucks, an illegal weapon, which is when Danny comes in to save the day. Tap dances him with a pool stick, then hits him in the nards.
I'm out of here.
Okay, it looks like he shit his pants, not got hit in the nuts, but I guess, what do I know? Also, I just have to say, Kyler Lee is too good to be interested in her brother. There's just something about him that like creeps me out, and it's not just that he's her brother. So we need even more cool kid activities on top of like the martial arts. So there's skateboarding. Resident Delinquent wants to enter a skateboarding competition to like win money to buy this skateboard. So he has to get a job to pay for the entry fee, but he could just use the money from the job to buy the skateboard. Anyways, Jason here can barely ride one, but feels comfortable enough to read at the same time. Don't read and ride, kids. He then gets accosted by one of the kids from Fatal Combat that tries to like steal his skateboard, but then just steals his comic book. And I actually don't know why Jason's in this movie at all if the movie isn't intended for his age demographic. Like, the movie starts with him, so you assume he's the main character, but you could literally cut out every single one of his scenes except maybe one that could have just been relegated to a different character, and it wouldn't make a difference at all. Yeah? You gonna... Okay, yeah, you can stay there. Because we get the conflict of maybe losing the academy. This romantic interest for June that pops up every time this kid is looking to train. Then obviously the tantalizing dynamic between Cindy and Danny. So Tarbek is training his guys.
Have you secured the enemy's head? Yes, Captain!
He gets a call from Mr. Maddox who wants to give him a secret weapon so they're sure to beat Master June. But Tarbek assures them that all of his main guys were personally trained by him, so they have nothing to worry about.
I trained all my boys personally.
That's what I'm worried about.
You made the competition specifically because you were so sure he was gonna beat their asses. You didn't need to make a competition. You could have just taken... I don't understand. It then pans to a picture of a kid on his desk and I was like, oh my God, is this some kind of like child fighting prodigy that he's gonna like sub in? But no. And Speed Racer here is finally realizing that Cindy just might not be that into him or cars. So Master June and the lawyer here finally get their date where he has a very weird phone call that lasted like literally 2 seconds. It then spontaneously cuts away to like a 15-second conversation between Melinda and Cindy talking about what your first time should be like. Well, it definitely shouldn't be with your brother. Again, if this was intended for 8-year-olds, we wouldn't be having like conversations about sex. It then cuts back to June. They get jumped in the parking lot with throwing stars and swords? Okay. First of all, what was the point of cutting away? Was that a longer scene originally and whatever television network agreed to play this on their station was like, actually the runtime's getting a little bit long here? Then dude just lies there as she's dodging weapons left and right? Okay, so I guess they wanted to give context as to why Cindy's just like wandering around at night and stumbles upon Danny, who is just sleeping on the grass by the beach because he doesn't want to go home. You could have just had her... But we find out the real reason why he doesn't go to class anymore. Apparently, he almost killed a guy in competition and they used to date, but that incident made him bail out of everything.
Shut up. Kiss me.
Siblings! Siblings! You thought it would be like a one-off kiss into the conclusion, but nah. And if attempted murder wasn't enough, they've extended into vandalism. So now they have to practice on the beach, which honestly just seemed like an excuse to get them in bathing suits. Definitely not for 8-year-olds. And without officially breaking up with Squeak Racer, Cindy decides to go on a date with Danny, and Brian stalked them there. It had to be a fetish at this point.
Maybe I can teach you a few new things now, too.
Oh, no. But Karate Skid's been drinking and calls them out.
I never listen. Who's the one who fixed your carburetor after you described the funny noise it was making?
And even though she has clearly now broken up with him, he's not having it because he doesn't listen. So they start a pool hall fight. I am being torn between feeling the need to award points for creativity with the pool ball blocks and take away points because it is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. The lack of care with the audio engineering also becomes very apparent here. At one point, like the movie's soundtrack with the jukebox music is playing at exactly the same level, and then it slowly switches to only being the jukebox. So it sounds like ass is what I'm saying. It then cuts to more attempted murder. These guys have messed with the steering wheels and brakes, and even if they hadn't, Brian is drunk. So I don't even know why the movie specifically felt the need to make it seem like they sabotaged him, because if he was drinking, he probably would have crashed anyways. So he obviously does crash, and then it lingers. Like, there is no way this was appropriate for the age demographic that it tonally seems suited for. But hey, almost dying makes him realize he was being a douche, so there's some closure for Cindy, I guess. In between here, it cut to another date with June and the lawyer, who gets a message that reveals that he's the lawyer who's dealing with the paperwork to transfer the Kickboxing Academy's ownership. Which, even after completing the movie, I don't understand. Why is he dating June if he just wants to screw her over? Do you see what I mean when I say it's trying to like really well plan itself out, but then it's just so stupid? So even though Brian is out of the equation, who is their black belt competitor, Mr. Maddox insists that they sub in the secret weapon. Which again, why make the bet if you think they need a secret weapon? So Danny swings by to help clean up the academy, and June tries to convince him to come back into the competition because the guy he almost killed made a full recovery. But when she was 9, in her first competition, her opponent died. That's how intense June is as a fighter. Actually, weeks later, it was revealed that it was a congenital heart issue, but obviously that's gonna traumatize you as a kid.
You have to put the past behind you.
Put the past away! So Cindy tries to convince Danny one last time to fill in for Brian.
I'm just not a kickboxer.
That's really good because this isn't kickboxing. But hey, they kiss again, with a pan-away shot this time. They made them kiss again! So Resident J Reject here has one last courier job to do before his skate competition. And for some reason, the asshole lawyer also entrusted him to make a copy of the original that he was supposed to file and then deliver the copy. But he's stupid, doesn't make the copy, and realizes what the original is, and is like, hey, this is the deed transfer for the Academy ownership. And he does the right thing and skips his tournament to go give it to June. Which brings us back to the competition, which is where we find out that the reason why Maddox has a vendetta against June is because his son is the kid that died in that competition all those years ago of congenital heart failure. Playing the long con here. So the fights start, and Fatal Combat, as expected, is down to cheat the entire way through.
A cheap shot is better than a rabies shot. Take a punch!
Yeah, dude. He distracts Jason, they lie about what level different fighters are at, tells them to go for the nards, which is not regulation, and then tells them to pretend to get hit in the nards, so there's disqualifications.
Come on, son. In the nards. Nards.
But hey, this kid finally gets his revenge. Then they reveal the secret weapon, who is some professional fighter with a spot-on villain voice. And thankfully, Danny shows up to save the day. So he wins, and it results in a tie. So June and Tarbeck have to fight to break it, and she whoops his ass. I'm really just flying through all these fights here because I can't be bothered. And the second she wins, Maddox is instantly like,
it's time for all of us to put the past behind us.
We're gonna get you corporate sponsorships and everything. So it literally went from, I'm going to ruin every aspect of your life, to you get to keep everything and also I'm canceling your debts. But surprise, out of nowhere, that transfer of ownership means the lawyer now owns the Academy because he had power of attorney over Maddox, which I don't think that would work. But why? Like, he says he wanted it so he could just level the whole place and turning it into a shopping center, but then, like, why was he dating June? Okay. It has the logistics of something meant for an 8-year-old, so I just, Either way, he was gonna give Tarbeck one of the floors to run as a Navy surplus store because he was sick of training kids, even though he was imagining turning it into a training center not that long ago, and even though he already had a training center, it's literally across the street. But hey, since Delivery Boy here handed the original to Maddox, the ownership is maintained. And the lawyer is going to jail. Like, if that was all it took to send him to... We know what? We're gonna stop asking questions. And perfect timing to stop asking questions because Tarbeck pulls out a machine gun. I just don't understand who this movie is for.
Sir, we lost a kickboxing match.
So he goes on this like unhinged rant about everybody being mean to him, and like this is the only thing that Jason does that's remotely useful to the movie, and I'm sure he could have been replaced with like one of the other many characters. So Jason sneaks up behind him, Tarbeck somehow doesn't notice and knocks him out, saving the day, and everybody claps. And the movie, of course, ends with Danny and Cindy making out again. Oh God, it's with open mouth tongue. Oh my God. I hope every time they were asked to kiss on screen, there was someone behind the camera with a massive check just like dangling out there. And that is Kickboxing Academy. There's no kickboxing, but there is a machine gun and real life sister kissing. What more could you want? Kyler, you're still a babe. Sometimes the hustle is a struggle. You're doing great. Did she kiss Lena Luthor, or is that just like fan stuff? No, I think they wanted Supergirl with Lena Luthor. I should read some fan fiction. But that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know down below what some of your favorite, like, over-the-top, outrageous, forgotten movies are. Thank you all so much for watching. Thanks as always to my Patreon supporters. Shout out again to Likewise for sponsoring this video. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on the video if you're into that kind of thing. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. I'm mostly okay, and we'll catch you all later.